Hello and welcome to Flicks and Chill with me, Luke, and
Shane.
that's right. And this is our podcast where we rant or rave about something. We talk about pop culture news, and then we talk about our big topic, which today is quite simple: international cinema, why we like it, and all everything about it. And we'll give you some specific country recommendations, some specific movies, maybe filmmakers, all that fun stuff. And then we finish with a recommend for, you know, something to check out. But before we get into this, Shane, how are you going? How is it going?
Doing all right. It's busy time for me, wrapping up the school year. Got a couple more weeks. A lot of events at work, a lot of press screenings coming up, which is exciting. So
Hmm.
I think the next 3 weeks I'm going to be tired, but you know what? It's going to be worth it. And I'll sleep not when I'm dead, but when this semester's over.
In three
So
weeks.
in 3 weeks. So
I would imagine like once the semester is over, Shane's just gonna be in his chair, like some sort of like recliner chair, like I can finally relax, and then just like pulls up the recliner and just like yes,
it's gonna be the end of Infinity War. I just Thanos Shane just sits
yeah,
down and looks upon a grateful universe.
yeah. It's like my job is done. Like sunrise on the horizon, and just like my job is finally done.
That's exactly the vibe that it's gonna be, 100%.
I believe it.
How about you, Luke?
I'm all right. Like I am pretty content right now. So like we talked about this before show, but I don't actually have anything specific to rant about. I have a bit of a pop culture thing I want to talk about, but I don't actually have any rant or anything specific I want to rave about either. So I'll leave it up to you because you mentioned you are prepared.
And I don't know if this 100% has to do with the new update on the iPhone,
Hmm.
but ever since my iPhone updated, I've been having a lot of problems with my alarms and the
Oh.
volume of them.
Hmm.
So there was a day that I overslept by an hour and 10 minutes this
Hmm.
week, and I don't like that. That's an hour and 10 minutes that I missed out on and also had to rush to work. I don't like those things. Like even this morning,
Hmm.
I had three alarms set up, 5 o'clock, 5:05, and 5:10, and they all came out like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this is my alarm's literally Brothers in Arms from the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack. I should be like waking up ready to go down the Fury Road and ride into Valhalla
Yeah.
at 5 o'clock in the morning, not just like, you wanna know? No, that's not what this is supposed to be. So, and I don't know if I'm just being, almost a 35-year-old that's struggling with newer technology, but I can't figure out how to adjust the volume from the settings of specifically the alarms. So I'm just like, Apple, this shouldn't be this hard. So
Okay. So first,
if
couple
we
of
have if we have younger listeners maybe who know what I'm struggling with, please comment because this is really frustrating me.
All I can say is, excuse me, on Android phones, if you adjust your volume, there's like when you see the volume bar, there is like three dots that pop up. And if you have the three dots, press that, and you can actually adjust notifications, alarm, volume, and all that through the three dots. And I think Apple is similar, but I don't know. I don't have an Apple phone.
Nope, there are no dots there.
Fuck's sake, Apple.
See, that would be okay. So Apple, you hear what Luke said. So go steal that feature,
Well, it's
and
gonna be in two
and
years' time.
So that Samsung can open up a brand new lawsuit against you. To be fair, I have an iPhone 11. So could the
Oh.
17 have that feature? Except I'm not prepared to mortgage my house to get a new iPhone
Yep.
17.
Hmm.
So maybe the newer phones have that, or maybe they're just trying to update me into oblivion to get a new phone,
A
because
hundred
I wouldn't put
percent.
it past Apple either.
A
So either
hundred
way,
percent.
I'm a little frustrated. So there ends my rant.
I
But
was
what
gonna.
what other questions do you have, Luke?
I have several. So first of all, so you are the person who's got three different alarms set 5 minutes from each other.
Yeah,
Wow.
because I've had issues like this before.
Ah, okay.
So I would think that eventually it would wake me up, and sometimes it does. So
Hmm.
like my body knows that I'm generally supposed to wake up around 5 o'clock, and then
Hmm.
I'll hear like the faintest like,
Yeah.
and I'm like slowly open eyes. I'm like, And then I look over at my phone on my bedside table and I'm like, wait a minute, what time is
So it's not even that you like to snooze. It's more like you're cautious that you don't want to sleep
yes.
in. Oh yeah,
It's a
okay.
planning thing. It is
Yes.
not a snoozing thing.
Yes, yes.
I do not like to throw on the snooze. I like to go about my day.
And my second point was, don't worry, Apple will steal the feature, and it's going to be in 2 years' time. It's going to be like, hey guys, brand new feature. You can now set, if you want calls to be one volume, text message be another volume, alarm being in different volume. Hey, brand new feature, because that's how it usually, works. Android has something for like 10 years. Apple comes out, hey guys, brand new feature. Android users, well, we've had it since 2015. Cool.
And we have a whole new lawsuit case study for business classes out there.
Mm.
Because I have actually, and this was way back in 2014, I did a presentation on Apple and Samsung lawsuits
Hmm. Hmm.
because there's like hundreds.
Yes.
They just keep suing each other back and forth when they steal features from each other. It's just like this is exactly what happens. Or Apple is like, we invented the rectangular tablet. And
Hmm.
Samsung's like, no, you didn't. Stanley Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke did. Case in point, 2001: A Space Odyssey, actual evidence in a court case.
Yep. No,
So
it's insane. Also, one last point. I love this feature on my Android phone. You can set an alarm with raising volume. So there's an option where you can either have like the whatever volume you decide on the night before, or there's a tick that says raising volume. So the alarm, whatever you have, starts like gently, and as it goes on, it like it slowly increases the volume. So like it like wakes you up like more like gentle, like more
I
gently.
think that's also nice for people who have partners that they're trying to not wake up at the
Yes.
same time that they wake up.
And I have that set up
Um,
on my because it's just like a default one of the default alarm tones. So it's like actually programmed to me like the first couple of tones are like very quiet, and I usually wake up during those. So I like stop, all good.
Well, hey Luke, those sound like some very nice features on the Samsung phone, the Galaxy. Samsung, if you're out there and would like to be an be a sponsor or advertiser here on Flix and Chill, we'd be more than happy to have you.
Yes, I don't have Samsung, so I don't want to. I don't want to do the like. I don't want to jinx our partnership. I have OnePlus, but actually, since we're talking about
Wait a minute.
phones, yeah.
You said you have a Galaxy.
No, I have Android. So
Oh,
Android is a
God.
catch-all terms. Android is a catch-all terms for all the phones but Apple.
Really?
Yeah, because he has different flavors. So Samsung uses their own flavor of Android. I have OnePlus, which is this like Chinese brand, but it uses different flavor of Android. It's how, and actually, speaking of that, this will be my rant. Everything is, the enshtification of every single fucking thing, including technology. Because why we need many flavors of Android chain? Why can't we have one? Because obviously, like hardware specs and like there we need more. Like fine, but then I don't like Samsung phones, so there goes our sponsorship. Because they are so fucking bloated. What I mean by that, it comes with apps, many of them I never use, and you cannot delete them unless you do some routing, which is an option. I don't want to do that. So I like OnePlus because that they use this Oxygen slash Color OS. I still have Oxygen, but the newest have transformed into Color OS because it was bought over by Oppo or merged into Oppo, which is another brand of phones that's also running Color OS Android, and it's not as bloated. It's becoming a bit bloated. So it's like, but it's still fast. Like I had my phone for almost 3 years now. My battery still lasts a comfortable day. My phone is still very, very slow, very, very fast. It's not slowing down, what I meant to say. But this phone now apparently the latest models will stop being made for European market, for American market because they'll be focused on India and because they are really big in India and parts of I think China because they are a Chinese company. So and I'm like, I don't want to go to a different brand first. And second, I hate when it's like this was a challenger brand, then it became kind of mainstream, but kind of not. And now, oh yeah, we need to do this, we need to merge, we need to do this, we need and it's like the enchification of all of this, where it's like it cannot just stay one solid product. Ultimately, we need to fail this product to clear space for the big boys, for Samsungs, for Sonys.
Mm.
And I'm like, why do we need to do this? Like, I'm so sick and tired of wasting these resources because, like, resources are running out. The batteries are running out. Like, we have now, there's a different option or there's a different technology how to make batteries. So the big boys like Apple and Samsung are still like looking at the tinier boys like, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? They are not adopting it yet. But now they figured out how to make thinner, long-lasting batteries using silicon. So like there's a silicon technology with lithium. It's cool. So now the latest brand of that, what I have, OnePlus, that battery is like almost 8,000 milliamperes, which is that brand new phone will last you comfortably 2 days. And obviously, yes, it will degrade, but it's degrading slower. And they guarantee, what is it? 1,600 cycles and it will not drop under 80% within those 1,600 full cycles. Meaning, for at least about 4 years, you will have 80% battery still there. Meaning, it will still be about 5,000 milliamperes, which is most normal phones come with 5,000. If this is,
Mhm.
so like this is part of a thing where it's like, this is where technology should go. But then the big boys are cautiously waiting. Hey, is it gonna, nobody wants to have the Samsung exploding phones again.
Well, and that's usually what happens when you have big companies and they don't have to pay the R&D, they don't have to deal with the PR backlash if things don't work. They just wait for somebody else to do the trial and error and then buy up.
Well, they cannot afford, as we've witnessed from the Samsung exploding phones. It was only one or two phones, I'm pretty sure, that actually exploded. However, for a big chunk of time in like 2017, when he said Samsung, people already, you mean the exploding phones, and that's something like especially in America that hurt their market. In
Yeah.
America, it's already like Apple heavy market, but it's already decreased from that. So, like, I think now the biggest boys are very cautious about the new technologies, even if those new technologies are there to really benefit us, the end users. Because, like, imagine a phone, you buy a phone right now, and imagine if pretty much, if nothing goes wrong, you can use the same phone for 5, 6 years comfortably with the battery being fine. Fucking, that's the dream, isn't it?
Well, and if this works, then it will be the dream come true
Like,
because,
yep.
that's how it works.
No, it's been out.
Business.
Yeah, the technology that like silicon battery thing has been out for us in certain phones for like 2, 3 years now. So far, no actual issues. There is some concerns about like silicon expands when it charges. That's why it's like chopped up and all that. There's like more technical people that understand it better. That's why it shouldn't happen that it will explode with this. I haven't heard any, but apparently that's the biggest concern. Why like the MKHD Marquis on YouTube, the tech guy. He basically made a video about it, how he communicates with the biggest of boys, and apparently that's the biggest concern. They don't want to have the repeat of, hey, this might potentially explode because silicon, when it expands, like, these are so thin, everything is calculated so, like, so, within not no margins. So if it explodes, expands too much, the phone might actually break. And imagine Apple rolling out this big feature and then suddenly 10% of users report, hey, my phone fucking broke within the first week. So they are very cautious. So
Yep.
so this is kind of my rant. It was all over the place. I do apologize. Our tech rant. But do you want to move to the pop cultures?
So I guess
No.
I'll start with mine is there's a general frustration
Mhm.
about the discourse that's going around the Super Mario Galaxy movie
Oh.
and adults like piling on top of silly kids movies
What is the
and
discourse?
so if I have to see another 1 or 2 star review about the Super Mario Galaxy movie calling it artistically bankrupt,
Ah,
or like this movie makes no sense, it has no plot,
mm-hmm,
I would just like to remind people. So one, if you've ever played Mario games,
mm-hmm,
what's the general plot of a Mario game? A princess is kidnapped by a turtle,
mm-hmm.
and a plumber and plumber's friends go save princess. Hey Luke, do you know what the plot of the Super Mario Galaxy movie is?
Is it the same thing?
It's exactly that. And most Mario games are just you hop from one level to another,
Mm-hmm,
all these different worlds and
mm-hmm,
doing your shenanigans.
mm-hmm,
That's exactly how this movie goes.
mm-hmm.
So I don't know what people are expecting out of these Super Mario Brothers movies.
Starring Chris
And
Pratt being the Mario of it all.
and I wasn't happy about them casting Chris Pratt as Mario either.
Mm-hmm,
And I'm still not. And I think he's one of the least interesting parts of these movies. But
mm-hmm.
these movies are made for kids and they're
Yes.
silly
Mm-hmm,
and they're colorful
mm-hmm,
and they're vibrant and they're going to all these crazy worlds with all these crazy characters.
mm-hmm,
We don't need a whole bunch of grown ass adults going on Letterboxd and just shitting on this movie saying this is artistically bankrupt when it's literally doing exactly what a Mario Brothers game does.
mm-hmm.
So like at the end of the day, not every film needs to be a 5 star Citizen Kane, but you don't have to be a jerk about it. And here's the thing. I watched it with a 2.5 year old. That 2.5 year old loved it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I had fun. It's silly, it's ridiculous, and it should be because it's Mario. And sure, could you add more? Do I have complaints about it? Yeah, sure, why not? But don't be a jerk about it. And I just feel like it's kind of a sign of more and more people just being ridiculously negative about movies. And I'm really hoping that Letterbox doesn't turn into just another cesspool social media site of negativity,
Mm-hmm.
because so many other social media sites are just cesspools of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just seeing slow slow movement towards that. So if you're a grown ass adult and you feel like you're gonna hate this Super Mario Brothers movie, and honestly, some of the reviews feel like these were things that people were gonna say even before they saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just relax and let kids enjoy it. And also, what the hell were you expecting from an Illumination movie? This is exactly their MO. They're dumb, they're silly, and they're colorful, and that's what they do. So,
And this is why we understand each other very well, because I've noticed within our tiny community, there's only few people like us, and by that I mean I think we both are very conscious of we want to rate every movie based on what it was trying to achieve, not based on comparing to other movies, not comparing to whatever it is. Like if a movie tries to achieve something and it succeeds, I'm not, I'm not shy to be like, hey, this is a 5 star movie because like, hey, it tried to achieve A, B, and C. It tried and it achieved A, B, and C. And if I had fun, and if it was in a, in a great way, and there was nothing, literally nothing bothered me about this movie, yeah, 5 star. I will actually recommend something like that. It's probably not a 5 star movie, but I gave it a 5 star at the end of this podcast, and I will talk about this. And I think this is why we are on the same like a no, like a page with this. Like, yes, like I still don't understand the people who are like, if I give something 5 star, it's sacred rating. This is my ultimate secret. I cannot misuse it. This is my baby. I don't give my baby just to anybody. And I'm as much as I love movies, they are just movies. like we, like as much as I absolutely adore any movies, they are just movies. Like we need to be able to enjoy them. We need to be able to enjoy and then be like, well, this is great, but there was a 1 minute in a hour and 20 movie that really bored me. That's why only four stars. And I'm like, really? Okay, fair. Like, look, it's hard because like I don't want to gatekeep anybody. I don't want to say any like how everybody else should rate. No, you rate the movies whatever you want to rate them. It's fine. Like, you do you. But like when I read a review or when I hear people talk about movies on podcast and they always like, I love this movie. I do the it's absolutely great. This is great. This is great. And then I go and check their Letterboxd review and they gave that movie like 3.5 stars out of 5. And I'm like, so like you praised this movie to fuck. Like you didn't say anything negative. Like you said several times you loved it and then 3.5. I'm like, this doesn't correlate with what you're saying. And to me that just feels like I don't want to be that person who's like, "Oh, I'll give five star to anything, but I kind of like this movie, so I'm going to lower it to 4 stars." And I think many people actually struggle with that because they want to be I think there's a like the like almost like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like pretentiousness? I don't know.
It's like there's some kind of expectation that
hmm
like
This is not a 5 star
and
movie. Like, like Super Mario
yeah,
Galaxy, right?
and
Like this cannot be even if I enjoy it, this is not a 5 star movie. So therefore I cannot do it and cannot, give it 5 stars.
I think an important thing to remember, and because I'm sure that people's retort to this will be like, that's just my opinion,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I'm just gonna do that. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you take your thoughts and put them out into the world on whichever social media platform you're doing it, it has influence.
hmm
And I think I've become more aware of this since I've interviewed filmmakers. I've talked to filmmakers and how, and this is one of the reasons why a bunch of people got mad at Chris Stuckman for stop doing regular reviews because he only talks about movies that he really liked.
hmm
And it's because he's a filmmaker now and he realizes that if you put your thoughts out into the world, somebody's going to read it.
Yes.
And those words influence people.
Yes.
And whether you intend them to or not, they do. So you have a responsibility.
hmm
I'm sorry to break that to you, but you need to take responsibility that if you're going to go shit on a movie, it's going to influence people and it could potentially harm said movie.
hmm
And it's just that's how it is. So, and if you just think that Letterboxd is your own little bubble and you can just say whatever the hell you want and you put your pithy comments and throw your hyperbole out there. It's like people read those things.
hmm
And trust me, studios and filmmakers read those things too. And like I have filmmakers who comment on my videos and even like it's really nice when they appreciate your review no matter if it's positive or negative. I try my best to be fair.
Same.
And I also try to understand that every movie out there is going to have some fans,
hmm
at least. And every movie's going to have something that works for somebody.
Yes.
And trying to at least take that perspective. But no, I don't need like well, why do you need to be that person who's screaming at the sky like Super Mario Brothers is artistically bankrupt and the
Yeah.
downfall of cinema? No, it's not.
hmm
Just because a bright, silly movie that kids love is making a ton of money
hmm
doesn't mean that it's offensive to you.
Yeah.
Like, just relax,
See, I would
relax.
actually like to stay on this because like my pop culture was just about like, is, are movies from like 20, 30 years ago being re-released for 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary are kind of like nostalgia bait, which I think it is. But I
Well,
actually
it
would like
is,
to
and it's also helping the theaters make money.
stay open, yes, 100%.
Yeah. So,
But given you brought up Chris Tuckman, I actually would like to stay on this for a bit, and like so I'm betting mine. We can delve a bit deeper into this because I don't know if you've seen, but I've watched Shelby Oaks yesterday.
oh,
Oh, so I don't. Oh, so wasn't reference to my review of that. Okay, good. So I finally watched. I don't know. Have you actually seen it, Shane? Because I don't remember seeing your rating there.
yes.
Oh.
It was a Scream Unseen
Mm-hmm.
at AMC and other theaters.
Mm-hmm.
God, was that back in October? I
Wow.
think it was somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did see it, and I actually technically own it because it's
Nice.
part of my neon that I got for
Yes, yes.
my yeah.
And as I wrote, so because yeah, like to stay on like Letterboxd, because he obviously uses Letterboxd. He is
Yes.
quite famous YouTuber, like talks about movies and all that. I like as I put in my review, I've never actually watched his videos. Like I watched one or two. I don't know, there was something that didn't click personally. So like I'm like, no, I'm not gonna watch your videos, but it's fine. Like that's fine. And but I was excited when he got to make his movie. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like this YouTuber, like film critic, actually
Yeah.
wanted to make this movie for the longest time. He had an idea. Like I read all about it, and he's making it, and it's neon, and it's like produced by, uh, what's his name? Blanking on it.
Mike Flanagan.
Frank Flanagan. Thank you. So I'm like, oh, okay. And as and I rated it 2.5 out of 5. So I thought so my thought and I was trying to be very specific because I had a feeling like I don't have any fucking following. Like, I'm not gonna pretend I'm some sort of fucking influencer. I'm not. But I understand there's more chance that he might actually see this, right? So I wanted to
Mhm.
be clear, and I said that despite, especially the ending, did not work for me at all, and I think the setups were better than the payoffs. I still think he's got something there. I still would like to see, and I hope he gets to make more movies if he wishes. And I think that's what ultimately I was trying to be fair to this movie because again, I didn't really have any horse in this race. Like I'm
Yeah.
not his fan, but I'm happy for him. So I was like, oh, Shelby Oaks is streaming on Amazon Prime in the UK for free. Cool, put it on. And I actually liked parts of it, and then some other parts I were like, uh, okay. Because I seen some interviews with him, like this is like personal story about grief and all that, and I'm like, but you kind of wrapped it in every cliche ever for the last 20 years. So like it's fair. Like okay. And then the ending happens and I'm like, huh? Like genuinely like before the ending I was like, okay, this is like solid 3. The last minute happened and I'm like, that didn't work for me at all. I'm sorry. Like I'm sorry, my dude.
Mm.
Like that and I understand some people it worked for them more, but then I read the thing online of course, and everybody has opinion online, as ours included. And it's fascinating to see that discourse where, there's a hardcore group of fans that are very in for this movie, but most people are kind of like, oh yeah, the first act, brilliant. Everything else kind of down, like down her. And I actually like the second act the most. I'm like, oh, is it gonna be like this like semi-documentary Netflix style the entire time? I'm kind of finding it not fun, but okay. And then it didn't. I was like, oh, okay. The second act was actually very good. And then, but the setups before the actual scares, I was like, oh, he knows how to build an, like tension. He knows how to build that vibe. I like it. And then a payoff happened. I'm like, oh, we're building all the way to this. It's another demonic thing. It's another demon. Oh, it's another baby. Oh, okay. Kind of disappointing. And then an ending happened. I'm like, that felt like a slap in the face, kinda for me. But like and that's fine. Like so, my ultimate point is I enjoyed parts of the movie, and I was aware that he might actually read it. So I was trying to be as crystal clear as possible that I'm not fucking, I'm not a secret hater of his. I'm not. I am very neutral about Chris Tuckman, but I'm glad he did what he did, and I hope he actually makes more movies because I think he's got something there.
Well, and it's interesting that you brought up this movie because I hated the discourse
Mm,
around this movie because I saw so many people being like, you would think somebody who's watched so many movies would make a better movie.
mm-hmm,
And it's just like, shut the F up. Like, seriously, just because you think that you also have watched a bunch of movies and you think you can do better,
mm-hmm,
like that kind of perspective and taking that kind of lens in your criticism of a film is toxic and unproductive.
mm-hmm,
If the film didn't work for you, the film didn't work for you. But you being like, well, you would think a film critic like this could do better because they've watched so many movies, and implying that you've also watched so many movies and you can do better. Here's the thing, you know how hard it is to make a movie?
mm-hmm. And
It's
those cliches
damn
are there for
near
a reason.
impossible.
Yeah. And those cliches are there for a reason. They became cliches because they are the crux of many stories. Like so,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's like, oh yeah, like he could do better. Well, the thing is though, everything you can think of has already been thought of. You think you have an original idea, and I guarantee you don't. Neither of us have an original idea anymore, like story-wise. Everything we can think of, I guarantee you, you can give me an idea, and quick Google I'll prove it to you. It's a spin on this idea that's been around for 200 years.
Well, and like most of the time, I don't even need to Google.
Mhm.
I've watched
Yep,
so many movies
yep.
that you watch a film and it's like, okay, I've seen this done
Mhm.
in this way, connected this way. It's a different spin on this. And at the end of the day, every single film is derivative of something else.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if the film, how they approach it doesn't click and doesn't get the response that they're trying to achieve,
Hmm.
then it didn't work.
Hmm.
Then it just feels like it's when also when people say this movie is manipulative. Movies are supposed to manipulate you. That's the whole entire point of them. If you feel it manipulating you, then it's not doing it properly.
Yes.
If you're in it and you're not thinking about it because it is working, then that's a sign that the manipulation did work.
That's why I always mention that, like with the great movies, or with what I perceive as great movies, I see I can see the nitpicks. I can see the screws turning here and there. I see what's happening. I see what's gonna happen. But if I'm in a moment, and if the movie is actually entertaining me, or has been captured, I can forgive those because, like, guess what? I'm in a moment, and I'm having a blast, or I'm about to cry or whatever the movie makes me feel. If I'm in a moment and if it manages to capture me either a performance or some sort of theme or whatever, I'm very forgiving person. If you That's why
Yeah.
if you check my letterboxd curve, I tend to rate movies much higher than most people because I'm very
Well,
easy to please. Yes.
and at the end of the day, you're not a dick about it.
I
And
try
that's
not
what I
to be.
appreciate. Well, and that's what I appreciate about you and talking movies with you. We're not, we don't always see eye to eye on a
Yep.
film. And in particular, Shelby Oaks, I think I gave it like a 3.5, maybe a
Hmm.
low 4.
Hmm.
I really liked it. And
Hmm.
that ending felt very impactful and powerful to me
Hmm.
and shocking.
Okay.
But, there's things about it. I think that I think it reached a little too far for its own scope and also its limitations. And this was another discourse like you can't say you're indie if Neon gave you money. Like, you know how much money this movie cost combined
Hmm.
between the original budget and what Neon gave it? It was like $2 million. In the grand scheme of things, do you know $2 million isn't a ton of money to make feature film?
Nope. Nowadays, nothing. Yeah.
No. And most of that money that Neon gave went to that sequence in that prison.
Yeah.
That's the same prison that was Shawshank
Hmm. Hmm.
in Ohio because it's where Chris Duckman's from. And honestly, some of the setup of the scares in that sequence I liked, but
Hmm.
overall it kind of didn't look the greatest. And I think it didn't fit in as well into the movie and it felt like it was kind of tacked on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was things about the film I didn't love,
Mm.
but I'm not going to go out there and I feel like people were overly harsh on Shelby Oaks
Yes.
because he is a famous YouTuber
Yes.
that people really like. And here's the thing, I had been watching Chris Stuckman videos since college.
Oh, nice.
I was a big Chris Stuckman fan. And there was a time where I watched Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns
Hmm.
and all of them. I stopped watching Jeremy Johns because he's not really doing it to like actually be critically analyzing the films. And like he's like, this was dog shit.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't like that. Even if I hated the movie, I'm not gonna go around in my reviews calling a movie dog shit.
Hmm.
And like he's going for that particular audience that's like wants to talk that way about movies. And I don't like talking that way about movies.
Hmm.
And generally I try to if I don't like a film, I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
I have people who reach out to me. It's like, where's your worst of the year
Hmm.
videos? I'm like, I'm not doing worst of
Hmm.
videos for the year. like I've watched movies that I didn't think were very good. I'm not gonna like beat a dead horse about it
Mhm.
and be a jerk about it. It's just general discourse around things has become really frustrating. And I'll admit, and I haven't really talked about this out loud to anybody, but there's some days where I'm just like, I don't know how much I want to continue to like put my thoughts out there about movies because the discourse around it is just so negative and disgusting.
Mhm. But isn't it the kind of catch of, 22? If people like yourself will stop, there will just be more of the negative stuff. There'll be more like,
Well,
hey, this
and
movie is a dog shit. And then, and because there's not going to be any reasonable person who's like, hey, it's
well,
not great, but
well, and Luke, I can only get so many
Mhm.
comments on videos that are like, "Hey, this guy looks like Wolverine if he like let himself go."
Of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And yes, I report every comment like that
yeah.
for bullying and harassment
Hmm.
and get them deleted.
Hmm.
But like for my own personal feelings,
Yeah.
like I've been bullied for most of my life
Hmm.
before I got to college. And like some days I'm like, I don't need this in my life. And it's a shame because I love what I do. And my whole entire goal of this was to talk movies with people and honestly hope that if somebody sees my thoughts, it encourages them to go check out a movie
Yes.
and whether they like it or not.
Hmm.
And that's why I continue to do what I do. But some days it's hard.
I get you. I get you as much as I can because obviously I'm not doing your numbers. I don't do YouTube where I upload twice a day. And yeah, I don't understand how you do that because that's insane. That's a dedication. And just you being out there on a video, like even like especially with I've been around on the internet for a while, so like I cannot say I'm surprised by those comments because I know people on the internet are a bunch of dicks. Like can be a bunch of dicks because most of them it's always a new generation of young kids and you can tell when somebody is very young or behaves like a young kid on the internet. So anybody who wants to be on the internet like it's very easy to say you need to build a thick skin. And like you, I've been bullied for not most of my, but some of my life because I was also a heavier dude. I'm still kind of like struggling with my weight. So like yes, I like it's easy. Like not much gets to me, but every once in a while somebody says something and it gets to me. Not much because like again, I had to develop a very thick skin. Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't be here. But yeah, yeah, this discourse online, especially movie related, is kind of turning negative, and that's why I don't know if I mentioned this to you. That's why our end segment, movies we want to recommend. We're not doing uh, you know, nothing to warn or stay away from. Only doing recommend to actually put out some more positivity to
Yeah.
actually check out something that's great because like if you wanna, if you wanna check out what to stay away from, you have a bunch of other people that will tell you, "Don't watch this. This is the worst movie that's ever been made." Funny how worst movie that's ever been made, it gets made every single month nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like these hyperboles. It's like this is the worst piece of shit since last month. It's like, oh, so the last month's movie is not as bad now. Funny
So
how that
much
works.
it is very funny because when I
Mhm.
see it's like this is the worst movie of the year, and I look at the movie they're saying it about, I'm like, you haven't watched enough movies.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But yeah, no.
And at the end of the day, well, Luke, do you want to talk about why people should check out international film and
Yes, let's
look at those little subtitles and
yes
all of
read
that?
them. Yeah, read the movie. Why you should. So Shane, tell me, why should people read the movie, not watch the movie? Because that's the most common critique of these.
So, and I get it.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because when I hear millennials, and I'm going to pick on millennials as I am a millennial for a moment,
Mhm.
if millennials say stuff like that, I'm like, you all watch your stuff with closed captions on anyway. So shut up.
Yep.
Trust me, every time I have my movie marathon, the closed captions on the TV.
I watch everything with closed captions too, English, but closed cap. Yeah, no. I'm
Yeah.
like the
So
Daphne meme, like she's looking for her glass and it's like my subtitles. I cannot watch. I cannot hear my movie without my
to
subtitles.
hear my movie without my subtitles.
Yes.
So why should people watch? international film. One, if you think that you're watching all the best movies that come out every year, you're only watching a very specific group of them. And if you're a cinephile and you haven't explored films from other countries, you're missing out on some great stuff.
Hmm.
Because great films get made in every country every year.
Hmm.
And some of them, most of us will never hear about
Yeah.
because the country that they come from. If we're lucky, they come from France and they always get pumped
Yes.
because that always happens. But being able to explore even more great movies, why would you say no to that?
Hmm.
And two, one of my favorite things, and this is something that, like, I'm a curious person. I love to learn, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
that's what I do for a living, is help people learn. I love to learn about other cultures. I love to learn other people's stories.
Hmm.
And you being able to watch an international film from a different country, from around the world, with different perspectives and cultures, it gives you an opportunity to kind of peek into the lives of others and cultures of others and learn. And honestly, it helps build empathy to other people, which I know is a beta male word today, or,
Yeah,
you
why are you such a
know,
snowflake, Shane? Honestly.
the only people that are snowflakes are the ones that think the word empathy is going to harm them.
Yep.
So get over it and be an adult. Um, Empathy is important because that's what films do.
Hmm.
Looking at Roger Ebert talking about, it's like these are empathy machines. A film allows us to go into the shoes of somebody else and experience their life, their experiences. And one of the most powerful things is realizing that there's something deeply human about these stories, and there's going to be things that you're going to connect with. Certainly, there are going to be things that you might get lost, that might be lost upon you.
Hmm.
I know when I hopped into Neja, and tried watching that and being like, I'm a little confused,
Hmm.
but this is fun and crazy and over the top. And there's certain things that, sometimes you might have to do a little research.
Yep. Yep.
And honestly, if a film makes you want to learn more about something, that's pretty special.
Hmm.
So, not missing out on great films and learning about other people's perspectives and cultures and experiences are two big reasons why I love international film.
So for me, like all everything you said, and more eloquently than I could ever, I sign. For me, coming from a country that, is non-English speaking, we
Hmm.
are, I think my path to international is because of that, it's easier, or it's always been easier. Because like when I grew up, like, yes, movies on Czech TV were dubbed. So it doesn't matter if it was French movie or American movie or Italian movie, it was mostly dubbed. So it was kind of weird. But like you grew up in it, you don't think it's weird. But when I started to realize, hey, movies can be more than latest blockbuster, latest this big movie that was, produced in America, the greatest country in the world. Movies can be more. There's like, there's an entire indie culture that is like very calm, very slow paced movies. And then you realize, oh, and there is a channel that occasionally puts these movies on with subtitles, with Czech subtitles, not dubbed. Oh, this is something new. Like my 12-year-old ass and learned. It's like, oh, I can read the movie. That's cool. Before I could understand and speak English. I was like, oh, okay, 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 yeah. And I think my biggest reason I love international movies is they nowadays I feel like that's the where you find the most truths in a movie. Like what I mean by that, there are many countries that still are not afraid to talk about certain topics, certain things
Hmm.
more openly because it's not as big of a deal. So like like something like with sexism, something with racism, but done uniquely, not through a United States lens.
Hmm.
I love United States cinema. Obviously, like it's kind of a default. If you want to be cinephile, it is a default. It feels like a
Yeah.
default for a reason, right? But I will say one of the biggest problems I think, I don't know how to put this. Everything is through very specific US lens, which is fine, obviously, because it's made by US filmmakers. I understand. But if we take like the big subjects like religion, racism, sexism, all that, there are way different, more nuanced ways to look at one thing. And if you look at a movie that deals with, let's say, sexism from French perspective, or Italian perspective, or United, it's going to be totally different than the United States, which is not, and I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's different, and I think ultimately that's what is, what you kind of touched on. It's a different culture. People in that culture live different lives. We are all the same people, but we are, where I think our differences is where we shine. We need to celebrate those rather than trying to mold everybody into one specific person. No, fuck that. Where's the variety? Where's the spice of life? The differences is what makes us unique. And sure, sometimes it takes you a while to hey, these people are very brutally honest, and I don't like it because they hurt my feelings. But sometimes that's fucking great because then those movies like cut through the shit and like, hey, we're talking about this, so listen to what we're trying to say. And this is why like I struggled in my cinematic journey with the Japanese movies because the movies from Japan in the early 2000s I tried to watch. The pacing is different, the story is different, and the characters are so unique. Like now I appreciate those. But back when I was like teenager, I'm like, why is this all weird? Why is this all fucking weird? I don't understand this. And then you learn to appreciate, hey, the movie slows down. Especially Japanese cultures. Like if you ever watched a compilation on YouTube, the craziest Japanese commercials, and they make no sense. And then buy our rice, buy this, buy shampoo, buy that. But they have a whole story. And you know why? Because Japanese people, they wouldn't gravitate apparently towards our Eurocentric, American-centric commercials where like, hey, this product is great. That's fine. I'm using this product. Buy this product. No, they gravitate towards emotions. They gravitate towards if you can invoke emotion, they will are more likely to buy it. Apparently, that's the reason why Japanese commercials are the way they are. Because if you can evoke any kind of emotion, strong, like if it is love, whether it's like some sort of, you know, and they will buy it. Apparently, yeah. So like it took me a while, but I think you need to like the more you open yourself up to these different worlds and these different movies, the more you'll be like, oh yeah, you will realize there is no such thing as quote unquote normal. What you and I consider, oh, that's normal. In this culture, that's not normal at all. This is like, what the fuck are you talking about? In this culture, that's also not normal. And then, then we can talk about, oh, what are the differences? Why are those differences? And like, what's the best way, or not best way, what's the way to handle those differences? And I think that's a fascinating point.
And I think that's such an interesting thing of I know having been someone who grew up I'm born in the United States,
Hmm.
raised in the United States, lived my whole life in the United States,
Hmm.
and on top of that, from a one very specific place in the United States in New
Yeah.
Jersey. And even and that's so fascinating. And one of the things I do appreciate about American cinema is that there is such variety
Hmm.
from perspectives because the United States certainly is not a monolith in the least.
No, it's not.
And watching stories from like different parts of the country, I'm like, I don't like this very country experience is certainly not my experience. And you know, also the United States is so obsessed with our ethnicities and where we come from that's
Yes.
outside of the United States that it gives a very specific lens. Because like I don't know how many people go around being like, hey, I'm a this, that, or an other Irish person. No, I'm an Italian American,
Hmm.
but that's just our culture. And I know things about me that would clash a lot with other cultures. I'm the type of person that's like on time, on time, on time, always be productive, because that's just kind of the personality that I have.
Hmm.
And knowing that like there's other people from other countries where it's just like it's not expected for you to be like obscenely on time
Hmm.
and have to start everything and be in a rush with everything.
Yep.
It's like, dude, relax,
Hmm.
chill.
Yes.
And those types of experiences, it's so funny that you brought up the commercial thing in Japan because it just made me think of Rental Family.
Yep.
And because Brendan Fraser's in that commercial, and with that outfit and everything, and they're loud, they're like, "Ah,"
Yep.
and it's like that kind of personality, and it's different. And you know, and it's so funny because so much of even like other English speaking countries, their cinema gets looped into American
Like the
cinema.
UK.
On like, no, these are different places, right?
Yes.
Or poor Canada just gets looped in. Like, this is a Canadian movie. I just thought this was American. I'm like, no, these are Canadians. Canadians made this. Canadians are different. They
Yep.
have their own country.
Yep.
They have their own culture. It's okay.
Hmm.
Relax. And it's so interesting being able to explore and just dive into these different experiences. And as somebody who I love mythology
Hmm.
and I love like tall tales and all these types of things. That's one of my favorite things of learning from other countries. And it's so funny because one of the most common places to find that's in folk horror.
Mm.
It's just like, look at all the creepy things that other people and it's just like this is terrifying, especially Japanese stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They believe in some of the craziest ghosts and stuff like that. And I'm like, no,
Hmm.
I'm good. And but I say that, but I'll still sit and watch it. But international the international cinematic experience, which is I get frustrated. I would love for there to be an international like cinema awards
Mm.
instead of just the Academy Awards giving one category where every country's limited to one film could potentially
Ah.
get nominated because it would be a lot more interesting. I'm not saying get rid of the Academy Awards.
Hmm.
Why can't you have both?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's interesting watching back. I know a lot of different countries have their own Academy Awards,
Correct.
and I appreciate BAFTA. BAFTA's like the one of the only ones that have gotten like international focus, but
Because they
also
are
it's the
English.
UK. Yeah, because they're English speaking and it's the UK.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and they get their own award show that gets a bunch of attention and people pay attention to it.
Hmm.
And it's cool seeing things like I Swear
Hmm.
getting a bunch of attention because it is very English and it's like this is very British film and it's getting praised by a bunch of British people and it gets a spotlight and I like that.
Hmm.
And I would love to see more of that because like to be frank, there's certain countries, well, you could say the thing about every country, but there's just some countries where I'm just like, "Oh, can you decide on one film
Yep.
from a whole entire country
Yep.
to represent a whole entire country?" And it would be great to see like and there's like animation
Hmm. Hmm.
at the Academy Awards. They'll occasionally throw a bone one or two nominees to international animated films. And to be fair, it's mostly Japan.
Yes.
To be frank, this past year, three of those nominations could have easily just been anime.
Hmm.
And they probably would have been better nominees than we actually got. Between was it Demon Slayer and Chainsaw Man, and like those films are better than most of the nominees that
Hmm.
were actually nominated this year. I just think that being able to get a more rounded perspective on film is like if you are a cinephile and you love film and you're not looking towards other places, then you're doing yourself a disservice of being able to experience. And it's the same thing about whether you're going around the world or going back in time.
Hmm.
If you love movies, experience all movies and you'll not regret it because you'll get to see some really excellent things.
And also, yes, and you can do both at the same time. Many times you can go around the world and back in time because like many of my we
Yeah.
will talk about it soon, but many of my like favorites from other countries would be like movies from like 50s or 60s because
Yeah.
there is something about like oh, this specific cinema in the 60s, they produced some great dramas. Also, we don't we cannot forget many European countries were actually heavily affected by World War II. So many of these cinemas, not during the war, but after, many of those movies, whether it's Czechoslovakian movies, whether it's French movies, Italian movies, like they deal with the repercussions of World War II, and they deal with this is how Rome used to look, and this is how what people, right after World War II had to do to survive, and it's fascinating. Like like where I come from, there's a bunch of movies. There's a movie I just watched last year about a Czech person falling in love with this German girl in the midst of World War II, and how obviously they needed to keep it secret. It was kind of
Yeah.
horny movie, to be honest. It was very horny, but also two teenagers in love. Something also that couldn't be done today. I think she was 16 and he was also quite young, so they had to have their parents' approval to be naked in the movies. Like,
Mhm.
good times. So that's
Good
also
times.
yeah, good, very good times. But it was not about that. It was more about hey, how do we do this when she is from this like German family? Her dad was like an officer in Gestapo, like an actual officer, not a worker someplace in a factory, actual Gestapo officer. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. And it's the thing that's those are the we learn about the history, but then these movies kind of open your eyes to, hey, the history we learn about it's on the pages. People have actually gone through this. And
Yeah.
those stories are fascinating because it's like, many my favorite movies are, you know, are in where many other people, and I understand why, they don't want to go to morally gray areas. Like, this is a bad person, but that's a good thing. Or this is a good person, but that's a bad thing. And movie is about that. And how you deal with this, how you cope with this. Because, and I gravitate towards those things because I genuinely think neither of us, we are all on that gray area. I think we are all my philosophy is we are all capable of great things, but if push comes to shove and you need to do something awful to survive or to do this or to do this, you will do it for self-preservation or for this or for this or for this. But we are all very comfortable and we are all quite safe. We are not pushed to that shove. We are not pushed to that edge. But I guarantee you, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan and you've been starving for 3 days, you will fucking kill a dog and you will eat it because you want to survive. Like it's not a nice thought to have, but it's a
Mhm.
thought, and that's when and I think international cinema is very good in covering these many times uncomfortable topics you don't want to talk about. You don't want to discuss, yeah, and you don't see displayed everywhere else because it's like, oh, this is too touchy. We don't want to offend these people. We don't want to touch on this culture. We don't want to talk badly about this. No, no, no. There are some countries like, fuck all of this. We're making a movie about this, and it's up to you if you like it or not.
Well, and it's very interesting because coming from a American perspective, American cinema has also become so commercial
Yep.
that a lot of big studio films won't take chances on stuff because it'll hurt the bottom line.
Hmm.
And not that films from around the world don't want to make money, but
They don't have
they're
that
also
expectation.
it's not the same kind of weight on top of it. And there are filmmakers around the world that have less shackles
And
in terms of what they can express on screen.
and also they just say fuck off to Hollywood straight away. So I don't know if you remember, but a couple of years ago, you know how Academy has released, if you want to be nominated for Best Picture, you need to have 20% of people of color, one third of
Yeah.
underrepresented, group, and all these like paint by numbers art. And that's one of those things where I totally understand the intention and I support the intention behind it. But this is not how you go about this. This is not how you deal with any fucking thing. And that's why there was a few days afterwards, there was an interview with a bunch of Czech filmmakers, and what's their comment, and are they gonna follow it? And pretty much all the big ones, and they are smart people. They are like liberal people. They're like, fuck no, this is bullshit. You don't do art by numbers. You cannot force people to do art by numbers. And if my movie is good, but it's not gonna get nominated because I don't have a specific amount of underrepresented culture, well, fuck this then. And this is the thing where they can say no to. They are not looking for that prestige. They are not looking, some of them will, like some of them will do it. But many of them, if they want to tell a story, they think that it's worth telling. They're like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna be nominated. Well, they can get fucked. Like, I don't care. I'll do my story. And unfortunately, it takes place in the 15th century where if I do it historically, there are not many black people around. There were not many native people around. There were just a bunch of fucking white Europeans. Okay. And that's kind of my gripe with Hollywood nowadays. They are on this like crusade where like I appreciate many things they're trying to do, but I think many times how they go about it just rubs many people a wrong way, and it just counterproductive to the actual debate because they think, oh, we just put people in numbers and brackets. That never ended wrongly, right, Shane? If you group certain people to a certain bracket, and if you count them, they never gone wrong in the history of humanity. That's always worked.
Well, and going back to my point earlier,
Mhm.
all that was very, you know, American centric. We need to work on ourselves. And, a lot of other countries, it's like, we're just doing our thing.
Yep.
Like, and not every country, because like the United States is, there are there are very few quote unquote naturalized Americans in terms of like who actually is from here.
Yes.
Like I have some of my family came over in 1880s.
Hmm.
Some of mine came over in the 19 teens.
Hmm.
I'm not that far removed generationally from being European.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, there's so many, like, the United States is extremely diverse. And there's
100%.
parts of the United States that are extremely diverse.
Hmm.
Not every country's like that.
Nope.
Obviously, there's diversity, but like, this is continuing just like, well, this is our lens. We're going to put this on here. Just like, speak for yourself.
Mm.
But I always go back to this. White people in America's favorite thing to do is to get offended for other people.
That's the other thing. Yeah. It's
And it's
just.
just like, you know, how about you encourage other people's stories
Mhm.
and shout out other people's stories and elevate other people's stories instead of doing whatever you're doing that seems counterproductive and
Mhm.
not helpful.
Like
But
there was a movie like made about Operation Anthropoid, which was a assassination of Heinrich. Wait, what was his fucking name? Reinhardt? I read a book about him and I fucking cannot remember his name. But it was basically a Hollywood production of this movie about the assassination of Reinhard Heydrich. Yes. Let me tell you the Czech names: Jamie Dornan, Killian Murphy, Brian Caspi. Oh, there's a Czech guy here. Cool. And there's Czech people then, in supporting roles. Some, and I'm
yeah,
like, see, like when I see this, I'm like, would it be nice to have a big Hollywood movie with Czech people? Yeah, but also I'm realist. I'm like, I'm happy that we get the story made in Hollywood with some Hollywood A-listers, and I understand it's gonna be in English. Like we have our own versions. It's fine. And that's the thing. Like nobody from Czech Republic was offended. There was maybe fucking some hardcore bunch of nut jobs, but nobody cares about them. But most people are like, oh, they're making this is an important event. Okay, cool. It's gonna be Hollywood treatment. So many many people from Czech Republic are like, oh, this is gonna be Hollywood in a nutshell. They're gonna do so many things wrong, but okay, we'll watch it. And that was the attitude. Like, we're not offended. We're like, yeah, it's gonna be a Hollywood fairy tale story. Well, let's see how they tell it.
well, let's make this Hollywood version with a bunch of actors from Ireland and
UK.
the UK.
Yeah. So and
Because
the
if they're from the UK or Ireland, they're basically Europe, right?
yeah, and there was another one I think produced by Netflix about this very famous political prisoner back in 1950s. Was portrayed by this Iranian actress. I'm like, A, she didn't look like that. She wasn't that hot. B, she was an Iranian. But look, apparently it's a good movie. So I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at the movie. I'm like, this is good because this was actually like she was a real life figure that was publicly executed by a communist party that overtook our country back in 48. And
Mm.
I think it's important to tell that story. Again, would it be nice if it was like more actual Czech people involved? Sure. But hey, we do what we do. So like we need to, like I think the importance of that story and the lessons you can learn from that story need to be told because like people
Yeah.
tend to forget, hey, shit like that can happen if some party that doesn't really appreciate anybody else's opinion by themselves. This is how they can treat people, like throw them in prisons and execute them. Yeah.
And that's always a tricky thing because like you'll watch a film and it's just like this is an international story, but this isn't an international film. But then also you find out like if you search IMDb,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Letterbox or IMDb and look up countries of origin for films. Like you
That
pull
is
this up
weird.
and like and it's just like, well, because one producer was from this country, I guess this film's gonna be collected under this.
That's why I don't trust that. I go on around. So when I want to check how many actual international movies I've watched, I don't go around this. I go around actual language spoken in a movie because that's more precise. Yes, sometimes it can be there's a one line in French, therefore, it's an English and French movie. Nah, it's not. But like I prefer to, if I go to my letterbox profile, you have the countries, and then underneath you have spoken language. I think that's a bit more accurate how many Italian movies you've seen, how many French movies you've seen. Because yeah, like many times I'm like, hey, I've seen a movie from Lithuania already, and then you click on it, and it's like, oh yeah, because like Expendables 2 was filmed there or whatever fuck. Oh,
Yeah.
or Serbia. Oh, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was Serbia. I'm like, so I
Yep.
technically have seen a Serbian movie, even though it was Expendables 2. So like, I haven't really, have I? So yeah.
Well, we're gonna test this out because Luke, are you ready to dive into some
I.
specific countries?
So Shane, what is your number one country you would want to shout out? I'm gonna pretend I'm surprised.
Are we going one to three, or are we just doing nondescript uh
Whichever you
ranking?
prefer, you prefer.
Oh, I'm gonna build up to that one that you know is coming.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm gonna actually start with Russia,
Ooh.
which and to be frank, is this mostly because of one filmmaker?
Yeah.
Probably, but Andrei Tarkovsky is one of my favorite filmmakers. And it's so funny because if you look up Russian spoken films,
Hmm.
like all the top ones are just his.
Yeah.
Because Stalker and Solaris
Hmm.
are two of my favorite films. And they're these incredible, complex, and thought-provoking science fiction films in very different ways. One very much space, one other some kind of alien force to Earth. And Stalker, if you think about it, if you've seen the movie Annihilation, I know that's based off of a book, and if that person who wrote that book had never seen the movie Stalker before, I would be shocked. Just putting that out there.
And also predicted Chernobyl. Many people point to that movie. They're like, hey, how did they predict Chernobyl about 8 years before it happened? Hmm?
Uh,
Yep. There's a radioactive dead zone and nothing grows in. It's a ghost town. Yep.
Well, and Tarkovsky has Mirror and Andrei Rublev and Ivan's Childhood and all these very powerful films. He's like the Russian Stanley Kubrick
Yeah.
in a lot of ways in terms of his filmmaking and his approach to things. But Russian cinema is, whether it's Sergei Eisenstein as well with Potemkin, and as we discussed, Alexander Nevsky
Yeah.
for our Cinematic Wasteland, or even like some more modern films like Russian Ark, which is a very interesting art house film. There's a starkness to a lot of Russian cinema because, to be frank, if you spend most of your time in the snow and that type of environment, there is that kind of feel to it. And there is like even like Come and See, a
Hmm.
lot of that film,
Yep.
obviously dealing with World War II and Germany and Russia. There, you're not gonna find the most uplifting
No.
movies in Russia. And it's funny because my wife, Jess, had been to Russia, and she's like, Russian people don't just smile. Honestly, if you just smile randomly at strangers there, they think you're weird.
That's in many European countries, by the way. In Czech Republic is the same. If you, that's how we know you're an American. If you smile at us in a fucking street, well, stop doing that, you fucking weirdo. Like, why?
So is it like,
Like,
and
like,
then it just turns into the horror movie Smile,
pretty
and it's just like
much.
the Americans are here.
Yeah, like every like literally this is a stereotype now where you know this is a tourist, mostly from America, if they are walking around the streets smiling at people because we are not used to this. Like not just Russians, this is also us.
And you have films like even like Sputnik,
Hmm.
that sci-fi film that came out during COVID was really fantastic. There's so many like old, older Russian cinema. There's so many giant scale epics,
Hmm.
like the Ivan the Terrible films and Alexander Nevsky, and there's just something really impressive about it's not in mass. There's not a ton of Russian filmmakers that I know and love,
Hmm.
but the ones that I do, they made some of my favorite films, and something about them is hits in a very specific way for me. And when one of your top 10 favorite directors is from a specific country, you kind of lean towards like I kind of like that cinema a little bit
Yep.
because Tarkovsky is has had that big of an influence on me as a film goer, and I
Hmm.
can sit here with my Stalker and Solaris Criterion sitting over here, and I own most of his films at this point, and he didn't have many. He
Hmm.
had a much more condensed filmography, similar to Kubrick.
Yep.
They have a lot in common. See, hinting at a future uh episode of ours, certain people I'd love to talk to from
Hmm.
cinema who have long passed. But no, Russian cinema is really interesting and you know, talking like Russian proper because if you get into like Soviet cinema, they, took credit for a lot of other countries' work that soon became their own countries again and stuff like that.
Yep. Yep.
But that's always a very interesting thing too, thinking about from like that era. It's like watching an older Russian film and it's just like this Soviet film. I'm like, this is a time capsule.
It is. It is. So like Russia was not on my list, but like a Tarkovsky and I have a weird relationships because I've only watched several of his movies when I was very young. So like many of them I did not appreciate at all. I was like, what the fuck is this? However, even in my teenage ass, very dumb, I remember watching Stalker and I'm like, holy shit, this movie did something to me. And Stalker I loved. Yeah, Shane is showing me his Stalker Criterion Blu-ray. So I know I need to because I've watched The Mirror, I need to rewatch that. I know I watched Solaris, I need to rewatch that. I would like to rewatch Stalker, even though I know I love that movie already. And no, Tarkovsky is definitely one of those interesting filmmakers, and I think the Kubrick, uh, comparison is, I think that's actually quite fitting. I would say, like, definitely. So, and I've seen some comedies from Russia because they are quite wild, and funny enough, this is how it works because of they occupied us, so we had a lot of Russian influence in our Czechoslovakian cinema. There is a movie. I need to look it up how it's actually translated. They're still being played on a Czech TV every New Year's Day. And it's called, oh, just Frosty. Okay. It's a movie called Frosty, a fairy tale about a conceited young man and a young woman with a tyrannical stepmother who must overcome magical trials in order to be together. Yeah. It's an interesting movie. I don't know if you would appreciate it as much because I grew up watching that movie, so it's like part of my childhood. But it's a
Mhm.
fascinating movie, and that conceived young man. It's like Alexander Nevsky. That's a peak Russian male. It's like proper peak. When you think of peak Russian and male, that guy will pop up. So I will start with a country I really like, despite Letterboxd telling me I've only watched 28 movies from that country, which seems very low, and it's Italy. Like everything I see of Italian, and this is where I was talking, hinting at, mainly 50s and 60s, is first of all, gorgeously shot. Second of all, it touches you on a deeper level. Third of all, it can be a bit weird and uncomfortable, but I like going to those places. So whether I'll just, highlight movies like Fists in a Pocket, Day of the Owl, The Roof, or Rome Open City. Especially the last two, The Roof and the Rome Open City, deal with a repercussion of World War II and how people back in Italy right after, which, if you remember, Mussolini, Italy, were quite linked with Nazis, and how they dealt with that after. Especially Rome Open City is such a masterpiece of a movie. How there are still Nazis around, and how the people of Rome come together just to deal with them. It's those movies. I really need to watch more Italian movies because those movies are so ep- not epic, but like they feel different. They feel
Mhm.
like they have their own language. And obviously, you have, we can go base, quote unquote, basic, and you can mention Federico Fellini. Of course, we need to mention him.
Yeah.
But, even past Fellini, I think Italy, especially in 50s and 60s, everything I've seen, and I only seen few, but everything I've seen, it's like 9 out of 10 at least. Because, like, those movies are human movies with actual human talking about human stuff, but it's oddly relatable to this day.
Well, and there's I love Italian cinema too.
Hmm.
And it isn't just because I'm an Italian American. Um, Honestly, it's you have the Fellinis because you have Eight and a Half, La
Hmm.
Dolce Vita, La
Yes.
Strada, Night of Cabiria. Night of Cabiria was a film that I watched relatively recently. Absolutely loved. Like I
Hmm.
love that movie.
Hmm.
And you have um Vittorio De Sica who made Bicycle Thieves and
Yes.
something so very human and raw that they had all amateur actors starring in it. Giuseppe Tornatore
Hmm.
with Cinema
Life.
Paradiso is one of the
Yep.
one of the most impactful and poignant and beautiful films
Hmm.
ever. And of course, Sergio Leone
Yes.
and realizing that, all of those movies were, filmed in Spain and made in Italian, and
Yep.
they dubbed them.
Hmm.
So, like, they dubbed them back into English so they could send them here,
Hmm.
whether it's, the Dollars trilogy or Once Upon a Time in the West. And even like more modern filmmakers like Paolo Sorrentino with The Great Beauty. And he even made a film that came out relatively recently, Parthenope, and this
Both are on my
film,
list. Yes, both are on my watch
which
lists.
I don't think this movie's perfect,
Mm.
but my God, it was one of the most interesting movie watching experiences that I've had at a press screening. And I know the ratings aren't the highest, but like I'm just like I was fascinated
Yep.
by this. And that's honestly a feeling I have about a lot of Italian cinema is I'm fascinated.
Hmm.
I don't know if all this works,
Hmm.
but I'm fascinated. And it's a lot of that Italian neorealism
Yeah.
that Fellini was a big part of. And then even think about horror,
Dario
Giallo,
Argento.
Dario Argento and Mario Bava
Hmm.
and all of these different films, whether it's Suspiria or Deep Red
Hmm.
and the bird with the crystal plumage and all these yellow horror films and other spaghetti westerns even like the original Django
Yep. Yep.
is wild.
Yeah, it is.
It's such a fun time. And Italian cinema, it's vibrant, it's full of life,
Hmm.
and life is beautiful.
Life is beautiful. Can be beautiful. That is true. No, like I need to like again, like I was shocked when the Letterboxd gave me only 20 movies. I'm like, really? Okay, I'm slacking. I need to watch way more Italian movies because damn, I'm disappointed in myself.
Disappointed. So my next one is actually Ireland. And
Nice.
I know I'm picking English. Well,
Hmm.
many of the films are English language, but some of the most interesting ones are actually in like Irish language.
Yes.
And pointing out some of those, even just recently, like Kneecap was such a cool film, or The Quiet Girl, which was actually in uh Irish language, or the folk horror from Friwaka
Mm,
that's come out relatively recently is really creepy. But here's the thing. There is a stretch there where my favorite films of every year for like 4 years in a row was Irish,
hmm.
because, you know, not all of his films are like set in Ireland, but like something like what Martin McDonagh does and his
Yep.
brother, between Cavalry and Banshees of Inisherin.
Hmm.
I love both of those films, and those are both so aggressively Irish.
Hmm.
I'm a humongous fan of Cartoon Saloon, and I love their work, whether it's a Secret of Kells, or Song of the Sea, or Wolf Walkers. They're
Hmm.
some of my favorite films from the past 15 years. And like Wolf Walkers was my number one of 2020. I know that's not saying a whole lot. 2020 was a weird year for movies, but like
It's a great
I
movie.
love I love Wolf Walkers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of older Irish films from like the 80s and the early 90s, with In the Name of the Father and My Left Foot, a lot of early Daniel Day-Lewis performances and stuff like that. Or even films like Hunger
Oh,
with from Steve
Steve
McQueen.
McQueen. Yeah,
And
that's a great movie.
it's really interesting seeing, like, I love Irish culture, I love Gaelic culture and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and getting to just dive into that, whether it's Ireland or Northern Ireland, even with like Belfast from
Hmm.
Kenneth Branagh.
Hmm.
And some of my favorite actors working today are Irish, especially actresses, whether it's Saoirse Ronan, or I love Katrina Balfe, who I was exposed
Yep.
to because of Belfast.
Hmm.
Love Carrie Condon,
Yep.
love her so much. And there's a
Jesse
lot that
Buckley.
speaks to me. Jesse Buckley. And even like going back to, like, I just rewatched Beast,
Hmm.
the movie that really got her start. And there's just something special about Irish culture that I really gravitate towards. And it's so funny because if you look up Ireland on Letterboxd, you have all of Yorgos Lanthimos' films.
Of course.
Because it's like, Greek, but his collaborators and stuff like that.
Yep.
And but I just love Irish film. I love Irish culture and people,
Hmm.
and just the way they interact with each other.
Hmm.
And also, Irish people are really funny,
They are.
and they just have a very specific way with each other.
Yes.
Like, I could watch Banshees of Inisherin over and over and over again. I love that movie, and I can't even be mad at Everything Everywhere All at Once for cleaning up at the Oscars. But like, god damn it, I wanted Banshees to win something.
Oh yeah,
So
the same. Honestly, the same. But Ireland, that's a huge blind spot for me because most of the movies you named, I am aware of. I never seen.
mhm.
I know of the Irish Girl. Was it the what's the name of the movie?
Oh, The Quiet
The
Girl.
Quiet Girl.
Yeah.
Sorry, Quiet Girl. Yeah, like I've heard of that because mostly because of you. So I'm aware of it. I haven't seen that. Many of the animated ones. I only seen Wolfwalkers from the animated ones, but I know they're supposed to be excellent. Like Ireland is my blind spot. Oh, another set, Folklore
I
Trilogy.
Yeah, Cartoon Saloon's Irish folklore trilogy
Irish,
I got
yes.
on physical media. It's really cool.
Need to get that. Oh, okay, I need to get that. No, because like Ireland would be like again, it's on my not on my list. It's a huge blind spot for me. Like, but it's funny because I live in Scotland, quite literally next door. You know, so you would think I'll be all up for it, but I'm unfortunately no. I'm a bad. Yeah.
Throwing out Sing Street and
Yes.
once, and because like it's the work of John Carney in
Everything by him.
particular. Love him so much.
Hmm.
And he even has a new film coming out. It's very aggressively like in America,
Mm.
because pretty sure it has, was it Paul Rudd and I think one of the Jonas brothers. Yeah,
Oh,
Nick
is that?
Jonas. Yeah, Power Ballad.
I've just seen a trailer for it. I was like, this looks very interesting. I didn't know there was John Carney. Now I'm actually more excited because that looked
Yeah,
like, I will say, the trailer makes it look like the most average movie you will
basic.
ever
Yeah,
see. and I didn't know until he told me this is John Carney. Now I'm actually a bit more excited for that movie because I'm like, it's like, when Celine Song's the
Trailer for
Materialist.
Materials came out.
Yeah,
I'm like, this looks like a basic ass movie.
I was like, this looks very basic. Are you sure this is your movie? And then I watched it. I'm like, oh no, never mind. This is Celine Song. This is like, yes,
And that's why you shouldn't trust the marketing.
get out. And that's why you need to check it out for yourself. Yes, that's why I always check
Yes.
it out for myself. So my next one,
Mhm.
I'm between two. You know what? I'll go. My letterbox number says one thing, but I'm go with my heart. I need to watch, and I really admire many movies from Spain. So we're staying with spicy white people. We moved from
Yeah.
Italy to Spain,
Sustain.
and whether it's everything Pedro Almodovar has touched and done.
Yep.
I'm not like you can go through his filmography and pick like five great movies. I don't really care. Just watch many of them. Like his movies talk about uncomfortable, talk about out there, but he always makes a point. He always he doesn't want to shock you for the sake of it. He wants to shock you to actually have some sort of thought about something, and then it's up to you whether you like that thought or not. Whether it's the Rec franchise, the zombie found footage franchise, that's absolutely great. Especially the first two are absolutely great. Low budget Spanish horror movies. There's a third one and fourth one. I've seen the third one. It's fine. I still haven't seen the fourth one. Apparently, that's also supposed to be just fine. But the first two are mass. If you're into horror, and you've never watched Rec from 2007 and the sequel from 2008 or 9, I want to say, do yourself a favor. Spanish movie, they are all, I think both of them are under like 90 minutes or just 90 minutes, or like fairly short. One of the most terrifying things you will see, like beautifully done horror movies. Or there's this very underrated Spanish movie. I think it was remade by Vince Vaughn, all people. There's a movie called Cell 211. I think it was a remake a couple of years
This
ago.
Brawl in Cell Block
Yes.
99.
I think that's the
Oh,
so the movie I'm talking about, the premise, if I remember, it's been a while I've seen it, but it made such an impact. It's about a news guy making like this piece about this prison, but the prison riot interrupt, explode, and he gets trapped with all these like rapists and killers and all that, and needs to survive. It's a thrilling movie. It's a dramatic movie. It's like all out there. Like Cell 21211. I think it's 2011, 2009, 11, around that time. Great fucking movie. Just like that, I feel like many people don't talk about it. I've seen it once and it stays with you. It's a great movie. It moves fast. I think it's under 2 hours, so it's also like, in and out very quickly. Absolutely great movie. And like, and Spain is one of those other ones where it's like it's sunny, it has a certain vibe, it has a certain passion about these movies. And lest we forget, Penelope Cruz, Javier Bardem. Like there are some
Antonio
amazing
Banderas.
Antonio, of course. There are some amazing, iconic actors and actresses come from Spain and actually made it big in Hollywood, and it always makes me happy see them in a movie, especially Penelope Cruz. For the star she is, she still takes roles in like the tinier Italian and Spanish movies just for the
Mhm.
hell of it because she loves to work, and I admire that. So yeah,
I will admit, I feel like most of my experience with Spanish cinema is Almodovar
yeah.
because I was looking through films from Spain. I'm like, I love this movie,
Hmm.
Almodovar. Look at that movie,
Almodo,
Almodovar.
yeah, yep.
But like something like Official Competition from Mariano Cohn and Gaston Duprat,
Hmm.
and that has Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas in it. I
That's on my
love
list.
that movie.
That's on my list.
Um, I love that movie when that came out, and I just assumed it was a Almodovar movie. It is not.
It's
It's
not.
from other people.
Yeah.
But I have to do more expanding, and like this is one of my biggest frustrations with how the Academy deals with international feature too, because like Surat
That's a movie.
was Spain's film, and it's just like it doesn't really feel like a Spanish movie. And then there's like France's was that Iranian film because,
Yep.
obviously Iran was not going to be
Hmm.
putting that forward, seeing as they didn't even know it existed.
Correct.
But like that always bothers me with a lot of stuff like that. It's like
Politics.
politics. It's just like, how about we celebrate your own countries? And maybe, you don't leave it up to the governments of those countries to pick said films, and it's about the filmmakers and their experiences and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And maybe like, Iranian cinema can be highlighted by actual Iranian films. I don't know.
Well, well, they would have to be legally allowed to enter the United States first.
I know.
That's the other problem.
Well, and I think there's one other even more massive problem, um, particularly dealing with Iran right now, but that's a whole other conversation.
I wonder what that problem is. I haven't
I
heard anything
wonder what
recently.
it is. I wonder. So Luke already knew what my number one was, and this is an easy pick for me. It's Japan
Wait, have
because
you gone through your number two yet? Because you did Russia. Oh wait, so
in
Ireland.
Ireland,
Sorry.
I went
I'm in
first.
a debate so much. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, sorry. Japan.
But no,
Please
my number one
continue.
is Japan, and this was easy for me. Shocking.
Sure.
Because like I could have just done this based off of anime and
Hmm.
not even any shit cinema, but specifically like Japanese animation, whether you're talking about, you know, the king of anime, Hayao Miyazaki,
Hmm.
Studio Ghibli, and others like Isao Takahata, who with Grave of the Fireflies, and Satoshi Kon, who we were just discussing for retrospective, Makoto Shinkai, who's really been like the big anime director in recent memory. And you have others like Mamoru Hosoda and others who made films from this era, Hideki Anno, who made like Neon Genesis Evangelion. Anime itself is
Hmm.
such a wide breadth of amazing works with so much creativity, all different types of things, and it's endless. There's so much anime coming out
Yep.
and amazing stories. But then, if you want to jump back into the history of cinema, I could have just said Japan because of one director, and that is Akira Kurosawa, because he has made some of the most amazing films in the history of cinema, whether you're talking about Rashomon and Seven Samurai, and
Ran.
the duo of and Ron, and like his Shakespeare work of Ron and Throne of Blood,
Oh.
or that duo of Yojimbo and Sanjuro,
Hmm.
all of
Hmm.
those types of films, and others like Masaki Kobayashi with Harakiri and the Human Condition trilogy, which
Yep.
we dove into, and like modern filmmakers like Ryusuke Hamaguchi with Drive My Car and films like that that have made such a big impact. And and Japan is one of those countries that has such a wide breadth of filmmakers working that you have films like you could even just, if it's your cup of tea, just love Japan because of their kaiju films and all the Godzilla films and all those things. And one of the best Japanese films in recent years is Takashi Yamazaki's Godzilla Minus One.
Yes, and I cannot wait for the sequel. Have you seen the
My
poster, by the
body is
way?
ready.
Have you seen the
Uh,
poster? It was just like like the tagline is like nobody can save us or something like that, and it's like very simplistic. And I'm like, holy shit, here we fucking. Many people hated it, by the way, because it's so simplistic. And I'm like, no, fuck you, here we fucking go. This is exactly what I needed.
and there's so many like Japanese horror, like Audition, and like this so if you want a country that
Hmm.
has an endless supply of amazing things to check out, even like the weirdest stuff, like Tetsuo, the Iron Man, which- for my watch list show. And like I'm even still scrolling through I letterboxed here under Japanese language films, and there's still endless. I'm like, I know films and I'm scrolling down like dozens of movies.
Yep.
that's how wide breadth of amazing cinema there is out of Japan. And Battle Royale, which I did finally watch. Uh,
Oh, what did you think?
it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
It was wild for sure. We could have a conversation about that. I think you might be upset that I'll admit I do love one Hunger Games movie more than Battle Royale,
Okay. I don't agree,
but
but okay.
not the first one.
Fair.
Um and I will happily admit and feel like Suzanne Collins had to have heard.
100. Like she claims she has not. I don't believe her. I don't believe you, lady.
Don't believe it.
No.
And I'll let you do you add what you want to say
Mhm.
about Japan and do your number one, and then I guess we could throw out some honorable
Yes.
mentions.
Yeah. So Japan, like, it's not on my list purely because I knew it's your number one. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna compete with Shane. But also, like, as I alluded to, like, I think that's the country I struggled with the most when I was getting into movies because they were so entirely different. They are their own league. Even and like I'm not even talking about the anime. I'm talking about the actual drama stuff or comedy stuff
Yeah.
or action stuff. And then when I finally have gotten used to it, there is a like so you mentioned all the big ones. I'm just gonna mention like there is a underseen movie called Survive Style 5 Plus, I think. It's a five different short movies tied into one about people just trying to survive the most bizarre circumstances. Funny enough, it also it features Vince Jones from the UK, that bald guy.
Huh.
So he's there in one of the movies. Nobody mentions that, but it's a if you love Japanese cinema, if
Vinny
you
Jones?
who oh
Or am I thinking is it Vinny
um
Jones from
is,
like Guy Ritchie movies?
is it
Or
Vinny?
are we talking
Oh
about
yes, no, it's Vinny. I thought it's Vince.
okay.
My
I just
fault.
wanted to make sure we're talking about the same person.
No, 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 that's my fault. Thank you for correcting me because yeah, I thought for some reason his name was Vince, but haven't thought about him in a while.
Well,
I'll
to be
be
fair, I'm assuming his name's Vincent. So it could have gone
yeah.
either way.
But yeah, it's called Survive Style. Yeah, 5 plus. It's a movie directed by Gen Segiguchi, who directed some other movies. Yeah, but I'm not recognizing anything else. It's if you love Japanese movies, if you like wild action and sometimes horror, watch that movie. Don't Google anything about that. You'll be surprised. There is another. You mentioned the Drive My Car. So by the same director Ryosuke Hamaguchi, I would want to flag up Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy, which he released the same year as Drive My Car. That's also such a beautiful movie. It's a three stories that are not really related, except they might be, like in a one way. And it's such a beautiful movie. And because Drive My Car got all the attention, this kind of slipped through the cracks, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's such a great movie. And yeah, Japan, if you are like me, it's worth going on that journey and trying to get used to all the differences, different pacing, different way how to deal with things, a different thing how to tell the story. Like I've recommended Perfect Days, a Japanese movie on one of the previous shows. That's a
Yeah.
great piece of cinema, despite the fact it was made by a German dude.
Vim Benders.
Yes, one of the most aggressively German names that ever can be. Van Wanders, yeah.
Yeah.
So Japan is it is amazing and like yeah I need to look see I've only watched Pokemon and Digimon when it comes to anime.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are
Yes,
the champions.
champion. And I know there are so many amazing animes, but like I'm not up on my normal quote unquote series TV series watching, let alone like
Like
introducing
watching
uh,
endless anime.
exactly, because I know there's a literal metric fuck ton of new animes coming out every single week, it seems like.
There's a new one on Amazon that popped up when I
See?
went to go watch some stuff today. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm adding this to my list.
So like I will definitely need to at some point crack open that barrel because like I do want to like I like like I want to see the Full Metal Alchemist and Death Note and all those like amazing animes I've heard so much about.
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 big ones, like proper big you should watch. And I want to at some point, but it's just there's so little time.
I've fallen behind on so many.
Yeah.
Like I'm a couple seasons behind on My Hero Academia now. I
Mm,
love that show. And here's the thing. I could just take a break from all other cinema besides Japan
yep.
and then still be watching endless movies.
Correct. Like that production, like I think Japan it can only be equal to like by genuine like Bollywood production because
Yeah,
if there's a production that's cracking out the movies and TV shows, well, I don't know about TV shows, but movies definitely even more than Hollywood and Japan, it's
it's
Bollywood.
India.
It's in like
Yeah.
that they have movies. They and
They
that's
put out a bunch of Bollywood films in New Jersey
hmm
because there's such a big Indian population in the state of New Jersey.
so
And
here. Oh, sorry.
I've gone to see a few.
hmm
Um it just honestly for me it's hard because I'm still trying to keep up with all the releases here.
And it's also I thought you're gonna make the joke, and it's not. It's a joke for a reason. It's also hard because most of them are like 4 hours fucking long. Like,
The most recent one that made a bunch of money at the box office, I'm like, I don't have time to go watch a 3 hour and 50-minute movie
yep,
now in a theater.
yep. No, like I was gonna say there is something very similar. So we only have two. It's one chain, but two different cinemas here where I live, and the one at the beach, they do like Indian movies mainly every Sunday because there is a bunch of like colonization. There's a bunch of Indian people around. Like, like it's fine.
Yeah.
So in this cinema, that's what I actually like. I considered going to see one or two, but again, then you check out the runtime, and they start at 8 or like 6, and it's like 3.5 hours, 4 hours, and I'm like, well, that'll be my entire evening. Like,
Yeah.
as much as I would love to check out more from India, like, damn guys, what the fuck? So
Wild.
it is.
Wild.
So
But
I don't know if it's
number
I wouldn't
one,
say number one.
the last one you're gonna
Yeah,
talk
but the
about.
last one, look, I'm gonna put my Czech bias aside. I'm gonna put the Czechoslovakia and Czech Republic as an honorable mention because it's expected. I'm gonna talk about France. So anything
Yep.
by Julia Ducournau and Coralie Ferget, just get it watched. Those two ladies are, I think, like to me, those when they make new movies, I'm excited because like those ladies know what they're doing. Whether it's Raw, whether it's Titan, I still haven't seen Alpha from Julia. It's nowhere to be seen here or streamed, which is
I think
saddens
that
me.
got buried.
It did. It seemed like
Honestly.
I feel like it was one of those that was potentially like Oscar hopes, and then it didn't do it, and it's like
And then
people were like,
Neon punted it.
yes,
So
or like Coralie Ferget, like with Revenge, and obviously like Substance is my favorite movie of 2024.
yeah.
I know it's not on many people's list like that, but like it's a great movie, and like and obviously Substance is not a French movie, but it's directed by a French director. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted to highlight, so I'm gonna cheat a bit. So Count de Monte Cristo, all right? The show. Sorry, the story. Alexander Dumas. Count of Monte Cristo. I know it's been made into Hollywood movies before. I know there's a latest French two-part
Yes.
movie
No,
from.
it's 1 3 hour movie and it
Oh,
was great.
there. So I haven't seen that one, but
Uh-huh.
there is a one from the 90s that I think nobody's ever seen besides if you're Czech because there was a one very, very big thing in Czech Republic in for like mid 2000s. Gerard Depardieu. It's a mini series. It's a 4 episodes. Each is like hour and a half,
Okay.
and that is the best I've ever seen. Count de Monte Cristo because that you spend the first episode him being imprisoned, being on the other island, getting his way, and you see that the revenge being so meticulously plotted against the people who wronged him because it has 6 hours, but it's 1 hour and a half episodes, so they're easily digestible. Gerard Depardieu I don't think has ever been better than this show. It's all in French, but if I don't think I think you can maybe get it on DVDs. I don't think you can even get it on Blu-rays, which is a fucking bullshit because this is such an amazing miniseries. I think genuinely, if it was more readily available, more people would be like, "Damn, this is up there when it comes to like this adaptation of that story. And Gerard Depardieu, yeah, we Americans know him as, hey, he's the funny French fat guy. Yeah, he is funny and fat and French. Now he's a bit more cozy with Putin, so he's kind of like, why would you have to do this? But he is great in that TV show. And the way you can see the wheels turning and him plotting that revenge is amazing. And the last thing I would want to shout out from Friend, there's this comedian, big in the 50s, 60s, 70s, Louis de Funès. I probably am butchering that name. So, me being brought up in Czech Republic, his comedies played all the time on like a bunch of Czech TVs, dubbed. And he made two, the famous series. There's one is Fantomas, which is like this guy with a blue mask. And it's like,
Mhm.
but it's like a comedy adventure movies. It's silly. It's kind of like if you love slapstick, but there's a story to it. You will love those movies. And there is another one called the Gendarme series, Gendarme. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's basically he's like this, like a not a policeman, but like an inspector, and it's basically a comedy of like seven movies about this guy having his like crew, and they all go again into like shenanigans after shenanigans. It's like a adventure, but it's mostly comedy, really. It's like, and if you love like vaudevillian stuff, if you like these like crazy antics, like anything goes kind of comedies, but it's not a parody. It's just like an actual story to it. You will love those. And I think besides people from France and probably from my country, because we are brought up on these movies for some reason, nobody knows about them. And they are great. And I know Fantomas that because of our buddy Adam, there was somebody that did physical release of that entire trilogy, and I won that because those movies are fucking amazing. Like
Nice.
he's always up against this like master, like this Bond like mastermind, but he always escapes him, and it's frustrating, but it's funny as fuck. So like I would want to highlight France.
There you go. France was a like I didn't go with France, and this is just a personal choice for me. I went with Russia instead because
Hmm.
I don't want to. I feel like France is an easy choice, right?
It is.
Because God, there's so much great French cinema. Like whether you're talking about even like recently with like Justine Trier
Hmm.
with
Yes.
Anatomy of a Fall, or Celine Sciamma, who
Oh
did
yeah.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire and
Hmm.
Petite Maman.
See the French ladies,
Um,
they are on it. Like.
yeah, Jean-Pierre Jeunet and Caro, Jeunet and Caro. I'm a huge fan of whether it's Delicatessen or City of Lost Children or Amelie.
Hmm. Hmm.
And if you want to jump into something interesting, and Gaspar Noé,
Oh. Enter the void, baby. Enter the
that
void.
climax, you something weird. And even just like, the Jean-Luc Godard,
Yep.
the Francois Truffaut,
Yep.
and Agnes Varda.
Yep.
Or I'm looking forward to diving into Jacques Tati and Jacques Demy, which after I'm done my Hitchcock series, Jacques Demy is going to be my next director. So I'll be looking forward to diving into his filmography. And
I've
okay,
So I was sorry, I'm just gonna because you mentioned his name, so I just wanna. I've now watched like 3 or 4 movies of Jacques Tati.
okay.
I, I would really like to somebody to explain to me why I should like them because I'm like, this is such a. I understand this is such a time capsule, but holy shit, those movies are very inaccessible. Like like it's like,
Interesting.
oh, this is supposed to be funny. Oh, this is a comedy. Ah,
Is it?
I kind of get why, but like this is so aggressively French, and I'm like, ah, like I've seen the like first three of his movies, and I'm like, I need to finish his filmography because they were on movie for the longest time, all of his movies. So I've watched like all. I think they've been removed now, but I'm like, damn, I want to finish. I want to give him a fair shot, but like I have like every single movie I've seen, I'm like. 2.5 out of 5. I don't know how else to rate this. Like, I admire some of the shots. I admire some of the vibes and aesthetic. I think aesthetically, those movies are beautiful. They are shot beautifully. The story, hey, clumsy guy goes on a holiday, and some of the things he does are kind of funny. But most of them are like, oh, okay, this is. I see why this would be funny, but it's not. But okay. But sorry to interrupt your point here.
Yeah. And I unabashedly love blue as the warmest color.
Oh yeah,
And it's not even because it's basically just lesbian pornography for a decent chunk of it. No, like this legitimately is a movie that I feel emotionally attached to this toxic romance that
genuinely, Leah Seydoux. I genuinely think I can make an argument. She is a top five actresses working right now. Like Leah Seydoux, if you watch more of French movies, like The Beast
yes,
with her, what a performance!
yes.
Like she like and Adele also like Adele. I cannot pronounce your last name. Sorry,
Yeah.
very aggressively French. But those two lady, holy shit! Like especially Leah Seydoux, she is immensely talented. But Hollywood always casts her in like, hey, supporting role. She doesn't do much. Leah Seydoux, baby.
And they're similar to Japan.
Hmm.
There's just an endless supply of French cinema that you could just
Yep.
dive yourself into. Some of my quick honorable mentions, I think but outside of France, I think the two biggest ones are South Korea.
Yep.
Because like
Yep.
Korea's cooking. And whether it's, you know,
Park Chan Wook.
uh Park Chan-wook, Bong Joon-ho,
Yep.
and so much other great stuff. I'll even quick also, I guess, add another honorable mention. China and Hong China and even just Hong Kong cinema
Hmm. Hmm.
is really impressive. And if you love martial arts films, there's so many to
Yeah.
appreciate. And I think a big one is Mexico.
Hmm.
And even if you're just diving into the trio of Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, Alfonso Cuarón, and Guillermo del Toro,
Hmm.
like those are some three amazing Mexican filmmakers that you could just be diving into their work. And obviously, Guillermo del Toro has, and all three of them have transcended just making Spanish language Mexican films. But like, if you just look at their Mexican focused or Spanish focused cinema, it's
Hmm.
incredible on
Yes.
its own.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so those are all yours. So my one,
yes.
so I mentioned Czechoslovakia specifically because like we made so the big ones, the cremator, the ear, divided we fall. So the first two are from like 60s and 60s, 70s. And the last one is the 2003, I want to say, because that was the last movie we've actually managed to that went through the actually being nominated for a best international feature. It's been, yes, it's been 23 years since we had a movie squeezed into that top five. We try,
Ooh.
we try, but to be fair, our cinematography is kind of gone downhill. It's mostly like the indie stuff is interesting, but like the mainstream stuff is like, hey, you like silly comedies with people saying a bunch of swear words, and here's another one. And I'm like, fuck me. I like to
What
swear,
are we
but
doing?
like, what are we doing, honestly? So Czech Republic, we have some stuff in 90s, early 2000s that are pretty good, actually. But like, I think the problem with the Czech cinema, it's kind of like Japan, but I think on another level. I think to truly appreciate many of our movies that are considered classics, you would have to know a lot about our culture, a lot about our history. And it's like, and I don't know if our sense of humor would translate to Americans or to your general audiences because we are kind of out there. So you mentioned South Korea. I was going to mention that. I would want to highlight two countries I've only seen, I think, single digit number of movies from, but I need to check out more. Brazil,
Mhm.
Argentina.
Yep. Yep.
So Brazil is like every movie I've seen coming from Brazil, whether it's the big ones nominated for Oscar or whether it's like something like I'm blanking out on a movie now. It's Seven Samurai, but Brazil. But you know the they don't need seven samurais. The town kicks ass. You've seen it too. It's like Barbado,
Baccarat.
Bacaro. Yes, Bacaro.
That is such a weird movie, but it
Like
was so great.
basic again, like once you realize it's like, oh, what if Seven Samurai, except we don't need Seven Samurai, the village will actually take out the bad guys because
Yeah.
nobody fucks with the Brazilian. Yes, that movie fucking ruled. And Argentina is the other one. The more Argentinian movies I watch, whether it's like The Wild Things from 2014, there is like another movie about the mothers from 2000, I think like some 11 or something. No, it's the more Argentinian movies and like South American movies I watch, the more I'm like, damn, those people know what they're doing. These stories are fascinating. The actors are great. So I want to delve deep into those two specific countries, but I only watched like think like yeah like nine and like seven from both of those. So like I cannot say oh they are my favorite. I haven't watched many, but from what I've seen, really really good cinema.
You could check out the acclaimed Argentine film Christmas Eve in Miller's Point. As I'm looking
Mm.
at Letterboxd and films that pop up under Argentina,
When I think of
it's
Argentina, I think of Miller's Point. Yes,
absolutely. But yes, go watch international cinema. There's so much to appreciate. But I
so
guess it's
much.
time to give
Mhm.
our audience a little something to go home with.
Yes. So Shane,
So,
what would you like to recommend?
so I'm gonna, Luke, should I go new or old?
Ooh, you know what? I prefer. I'm gonna do new. So you do. Can you do old?
I'm gonna recommend The Brood.
Ooh.
I watched this with Jess, and this is an early Cronenberg.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Yes,
It's effed up,
it is.
it's twisted, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and it puts you on the edge of your seat. Oliver Reed, love Oliver Reed, and there's something dark and twisted going on. A lot of trauma manifesting into some really effed up, dangerous, and murderous children.
Oh sure. Yeah.
It is some grotesque body horror like any Cronenberg,
Yep.
but like it's a twisted movie. It's only like 92 minutes too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice and tight. Early Howard Shore
Yep.
score too.
Yep. No, you can
Has a lot of
definitely.
atmosphere.
Is it his feature debut? I think.
I think it might have been his second,
Okay.
but like it's still the 70s, so it's not
Yes.
even like he didn't even do like scanners yet.
No. No, yeah, like early Cronenberg. If you think Cronenberg movies are wild, like 90s, 2000s, like watch some of the earlier stuff because holy shit. Some of them
Specifically
are
the
like,
80s
yep,
of his between scanners and Videodrome and
The Fly.
The Fly, which is one of his more accessible ones
Yes.
from the 80s, but it's still really twisted and messed up.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a
But
that's a good movie. I'm not as high on it, but it was definitely an experience. I appreciate that I watched it. I don't know if I need to watch it ever again.
I'm not saying it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
There's some stiff performances in it, especially like the main guy.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but like you can tell it's a smaller film,
Yes.
and that Canadians,
Mm-hmm.
some Canadian cinema. But yeah, so it's a messed up one. It was either going to be that or Singing in the Rain, which I just rewatched.
Oh.
Um, one of those is more fun than the other.
One of those is definitely more fun.
But what do you got, Luke?
So I was thinking, like, I could go basic and recommend the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson because it's an excellent movie. Everybody should watch. And
That
it's
was
a
going to be the new one I was
see,
gonna recommend.
okay, but it's actually not because like this is
Okay.
getting like a great spotlight, even though many people are split on it. But like it's getting a spotlight, it's getting money. It has Zendaya, so obviously like those two deserve the world. Like Zendaya, Robert Pattinson, they will be the next big things, or they are the next big things in Hollywood. I want to talk about a movie that came and went, and I managed to catch it in the cinemas before it went. They Will Kill You. Holy fucking shit.
Oh,
Holy
it was
fucking shit.
wild.
I do not understand audiences nowadays because
Me neither.
we are a generation who's like, I love Quentin Tarantino, I love pulpy cinema. When there's somebody who makes pulp cinema, as it happens right now with Zazie motherfucking beats, kicking
And it's
ass.
not Tarantino. They're like, what
Yeah,
is this?
yeah, and it's not Tarantino. Yeah, and they're like, oh, I love fighting movies. I love action movies. They are all look the same. I love pulp. And when somebody actually makes it, when it's fun, it's enjoyable. There are some interesting camera angles I haven't seen done in a mainstream Hollywood movie like this in a while. It knows what it is. Like, look, is the plot a bit thin? It is. Is Zazie motherfucking Beats carrying this movie on her frame and kicks ass? and is a ultimate heroine that should be cast in every major movie since from now on because she knows how to lead a movie. Absolutely. Zazie Beetz makes this movie. Like she is like what she has to go through every single level of that building. I didn't know. So like I've seen the trailer. The trailer luckily doesn't give away one crucial twist. Well, not in a twist, but it's a wrinkle on the story. So when something happens, I'm like, oh, did they do this thing? And and they are they're gonna do now this thing. Okay. And something happens, it's like, oh no, they are doing this. I don't even want to spoil it because nobody's seen it. This movie made no money. So I
Unfortunately.
don't even want to spoil what that wrinkle on that story is. But if you know, because you watched the trailer, what this movie is about, you actually don't. I know it's probably gone from most cinemas, but when it's streaming someplace, watch They Will Kill You. Because this will be, I can see this being a future. Hey, this is a pulp classic. This is a, like, this is a, this is how, remember how we used to have it back in the day in 2026? No, nobody went to see this because people don't appreciate. People say, "Oh, I'm into this cinema. I'm into this cinema." And they, when this movie comes out, oh, I don't want to see this. Why? 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 She is awesome. She is kicking ass. There is some great action sequences. There is some funny moments. There is some outrageous moment with an eye involving a human eye climbing a wall. I was laughing. There is some there is some heart to the story, and the
The
movie
climax of this movie is bonkers.
it is, and the movie knows how to finish, when to finish. Talk about a swift 90-minute movie in
Mm.
out. It knows exactly how to wrap up story. It knows exactly what to give you, what kind of answers to give you, and what kind of answers they don't want to focus on because this is boring. This would be a very boring movie. It lives in its hyper reality and it's more beautiful for it. And this is the movie I was talking about. Like, is it objectively, quote unquote, 5 out of 5? Probably not, because its story is quite thin. There's not much on beneath the surface, but fuck this. This is 5 out of 5 for me. I had a blast in a cinema. And I wish Zazie Beetz was in more mainstream movies to get that paycheck, because like she has the talent, she has obviously the charisma, she has the physique to be a kick-ass heroine or a villainess, whatever she wants to do. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I am mad that this movie flops and people, big producers, the way Hollywood works is gonna be like, oh, she's a bit of a box office poison, isn't she? We cannot really cast her in many movies then. Because that's how fucking Hollywood works.
Indeed.
So,
So,
yeah,
couple points about this.
tell me.
One, I love this. This was wild. And as a self-professed action snob,
Hmm.
this is legit action.
Yes.
And it's incredible action. And if you're complaining about modern action and overly cutting and editing it, no, this is what you want to see.
I didn't even
This
bring
is
it
like,
up because these shots are beautiful and they don't cut and they are mid actual range. They are not close-ups, so you can actually see people trying their best.
well, and this is like a satanic cult John Wick,
Hmm.
and it is wild.
Yep.
And this is from Russian writer
Hmm.
director Kirill Sokolov. So
Hmm.
like more Russian cinema here. And specifically, I don't know if you had seen Why Don't You Just Die?
Not yet.
That is a weird ass movie, and I am not surprised that that director
Hmm.
made a movie.
After seeing
and
this, I'm more keener to watch that movie. Yes.
and the other point was they should never have released this the week after Ready or Not 2, Here We Come.
Yeah.
Because it's too similar in broad stroke concept. It's about two sisters and some kind of satanic thing, action horror movie. They should not have come out anywhere near each other, and I blame the distributor
Yep.
for messing that up
Yep.
because this movie got buried, and it's a shame.
It is. Especially like if you even like you see it on a screen and then you read about how much Zazie Beetz actually committed to training because she is along pretty much every single scene of that movie.
Yeah.
How many of her fellow actors from that movie were complimentary of her, how like she's never complained on a set, even though she was put through some shit to make this.
Yeah.
And it's like, and her performance is so physical and demanding, but she does it effortlessly. And I'm like, I was so impressed with her. I'm genuinely so
He had her
impressed.
Keanu moment.
Like honestly, bring on John Wick, but cast, put her in the next John Wick, but as like the main character. I know people will be pissed, but I won't be one of them. I'll be like, that makes so much sense because like
Like,
she can fight. She is a badass. Like
hey, make another spinoff. I'll take endless spinoffs in the world of John Wick.
imagine Ana de Armas,
Honestly,
imagine Ana de Armas tagging with Zazie Beetz.
I'm down. They
Same.
have my money.
Yep.
You have
Yep.
my money. Take it
Mm,
now.
100%.
Ballerina 2, bring it.
100%. So this wraps our show then. You have some films to check out. Hopefully, you will check out some international cinema as well. We've mentioned quite a
Yes.
few filmmakers, actors, movies, so all the good stuff. Shane, as always, it's been a blast. Where can people find you if they enjoyed our conversation?
They can head over to the Wasteland Reviewer on Instagram, where I have my link tree and I shamelessly plug everything I do with my Wasteland Reviewer YouTube channel, where I review films and have one continuing weekly show going into the future. And I have the Wasteland Reviewer.blog, my website, as well as all the podcasts I do here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network and my writing at sifpop.com and Knock on Wood Film.
Nice. For me, as always, in Movies Lost on Letterboxd, here every other Friday, or on a SPDM, crew podcasting network with Shane in a cinematic wasteland and wasteland retrospective every third Thursday and every first Wednesday. I want to say
Wednesday. Yep.
yes. I cannot keep up with these days, man. but yeah, as she
What
mentioned,
are
we
days? What is time? It is a construct.
correct. That's why we do not honor it. No, we do. And as always, as Shay mentioned, we are also part of SPDM Crew podcasting network. So, and until next time, bye bye.
Bye.